Spider-Man as the friendly neighborhood web slinger, but with everything life has swung at him, it's a marvel he's maintaining that mantle. If you know anything about Spider-Man, you know that he loved Gwen Stacy. So finding out that she had relations with one of his worst enemies and twins came from it, that took a toll mentally. Pile on that the twins think Spider-Man is their dad, and they hate him for abandoning them, and later, when they were older, attack him at Gwen's grave. That's a lot. This all took place in the Sins Past arc. MJ helped Peter piece together the parentage of the twins using a letter given to Peter, as well as a conversation she overheard between Gwen and Norman. Peter is, of course, heartbroken by the news. He does try to tell the twins the truth. One of them, Sarah, believes him, but the other, Gabriel, doesn't. Until Gabriel returns to the Osborn lab and sees that Norman has built suits so the twins could follow in his footsteps. This storyline has been retconned, but the character of Gabriel did return later on, becoming the Grey Goblin. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Gwen Stacy put in some backbreaking efforts to help out her title character, and I do mean that literally. After the unfortunate incident, Peter Parker is racked with guilt and hangs up his super suit for good. That is, until he watches Gwen's graduation speech. Her words inspire him to become everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood spider again, just in time for him to save New York from being destroyed by the villain Rhino. Fun fact about me, watching Gwen's death was the first time I ever cried on a plane. I was a casual superhero fan at the time, so I literally didn't see it coming. Let me know down below a time when a movie caught you totally off guard. In the limited series Spider-Man Reign, we meet a Peter that has seen better days. The series is set in a future with no heroes. The city has fallen into ruin. At this point, Peter has grown old and has not been Spider-Man for a long time and doesn't plan to do it ever again. A bright spot is that Peter did get to marry longtime love Mary Jane. The two loved each other very much, but learned the hard way that Peter was radioactive, and anything that came out of him was also then radioactive. If you know, you know. Prolonged exposure to this radioactivity caused MJ to develop cancer and ultimately pass away. Us readers see that this has done a number on Peter's emotional well-being. He feels extremely guilty and is grappling with the fact that his superpowers, which were supposed to be a good thing, ended up being his lover's demise. Back to the land of Hollywood blockbusters. Tom Hollands Spider-Man is only about 17 years old when he is brought back to the land of the living from being snapped away in Avengers Infinity War. Peter is just trying to make it through a school trip, but of course something goes horribly wrong. To summarize super quick, big monsters attack Earth. Spider-Man must fight these monsters with the help of new hero Mysterio. But surprise, Mysterio is a villain and was faking the monsters using drone technology. Him and Spider-Man have a big final brawl in which Mysterio does perish. At this point, we're like, good for Peter, go home, drink water, see your girlfriend. But pretty much right when Peter gets home, a video is released worldwide using sound bites from the Mysterio battle to make it seem like Spider-Man had been the one on a destruction spree, and topped it off by exposing Spider-Man's civilian identity. Once again, all of this is happening to an already severely traumatized 17-year-old. The after effects of this involve Peter being attacked for weeks from every direction, and then ultimately losing all of his family and friends. Spider-Man's whole thing is that he is a human with spider abilities, which I'm sure you already knew. But once, the opposite happened. I am referring to a moment in the Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 2 line. This story centers around Spider-Man and the Spider Queen. In an effort to gain control over Spider-Man, the Spider Queen kisses him. It isn't until later that he realizes the kiss of this Spider-Woman is going to be a bit bigger of a problem than he initially thought. Peter slowly starts to turn into a spider. It starts with growing extra eyes and then limbs before finally stopping when Peter is completely changed and under the control of the Spider Queen. The man spider that was Peter was designed to basically be an incubator for the Spider Queen's offspring, but the transformation happened too fast and Spider Peter didn't make it. The Spider Queen, not happy, destroyed her entire lab, leaving the spider husk behind. She should have stayed longer though, because shortly after her departure, human Peter burst out of the husk, reborn. I can't even imagine the toll that this would have taken on Peter, but the bonus is that he now has some new spider abilities. Before, he had to spend a lot of time making his own webs, but now his body just does that. It's all about the small victories. Now, you've heard of Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Pig, but get ready for Spider-Jesus. And I am being so serious right now. Spider-Man and Jesus have one thing in common. Both were crucified at one point. In the Uncanny X-Men number 191, our heroes are up against sorcerer Kulan Gath. Gath decided to turn all of downtown Manhattan into the Middle Ages. Anyone inside or coming in the city gets transformed into what their medieval counterpart would be, including many of our favorite heroes. The only hero in town that is unaffected is, of course, Spider-Man. An intentional choice. Gath flat out states that he shall have his revenge against the Spider. In this medieval Manhattan, Spider-Man is hunted down and beaten until he's ultimately crucified. All the heroes, now back to their senses, fight to free Spider-Man and defeat Gath, but he's too powerful, so Spider-Man has to watch as all his friends get taken down by one, and it's brutal. Spider-Man tries to fight, but succumbs to his injuries. Good news is, Doctor Strange, once freed, was able to turn back time, so it all never happened, and Spider-Man lived to fight another day. To Goth, love the drama. Next time, maybe try a Renaissance fair. Sorry, a medieval fair. Peter Parker, across the board, has got permanent bad luck. And for the Peter of Earth 2149, that manifested in turning into a zombie. What makes this so tragic is that even though Peter's body is decaying, his mind isn't. The way to kill a zombie in this universe is to destroy their brain, meaning that zombified individuals are aware of what they're doing but are consumed by insatiable hunger they literally can't stop. Right after Spider-Man gets bit, he tries to get MJ and Aunt May to safety, but he turns into a zombie. He does attack them both and then presumably ends their zombie versions as well. The extra brutal part is he knows what's happening and he feels all of the pain and guilt afterward. The zombie infestation on Earth gets so bad that the super zombies start jumping across the universe in search of food, making this everyone else's problem too. Spider-Man is the first of the zombies to have his first evil hunger sated, and he is eventually able to make it to a universe in which a cure might be found, and he uses his science skills to craft one. It's nanites that basically remove the dead cells in a zombie, which makes them disappear. The final piece to this gruesome puzzle is that Spider-Man might be one of the only zombies that experiences pain. If you're squeamish, skip 10 seconds. When he runs out of his regular webs, he can use his veins. I don't think I can properly express how much I hate this. Spider-Man does a lot of dying without dying, and I'm so tired for him. In The Amazing Spider-Man number 700, Spider-Man faces off against longtime nemesis Doc Ock. Doc Ock and Peter Parker have switched bodies. However, the machine used simply beams brain patterns into the other person's body, so it's less of a full switch over and more like extreme mind control. In Peter's body, Doc Ock goes around ruining Peter's life and is just generally being a menace. The entire time, Peter is literally fighting for his life. Doc Ock's body is dying, so Peter has to find him soon or at least attempt to get his body back. Once they find each other, it doesn't go as Peter hoped. The golden Octobot was what switched them, so Peter uses that to switch them back. Or at least he would've, if it weren't for the special shield Spidey Doc built for his body. Before Doc Ock and Spider-Man, both of them have the same memory of Uncle Ben. The true Spider-Man realizes that because his brain, with his memories, is still in his body, a link with Doc Ock exists. Spider knows that he's not coming out of this, so he uses the link to show Doc his life story, hoping it will inspire him to turn to the good side. It does, and Doc, a changed man, vows to become the superior Spider-Man. Our poor Spidey was left to the fate of dying in a foreign body, and the last remnants of him are his old memories and the voice in the back of Superior Spider's head. This next one is literally nightmare fuel. I don't think I would have survived, super or not. I'm talking about the horrible brawl between Spider-Man and Kraven the Hunter. The fight starts out awful. Kraven shoots Spider-Man with a poison dart because he's a hunter, he has to be on theme. Then he makes man hallucinate dead people, hits him with a stick, smacks him against a building, nets him, shoots him with a rifle, again sticking to theme, until finally burying Spider-Man alive for 2 weeks. Important to mention, Spider-Man's emotional context before this all went down is that his best friend had just died, as well as an accomplice of his. So Spidey's going through a bit of a crisis and is generally grappling with the fact that he might be scared of dying, and then is promptly shoved 6 feet under. Spider-Man's stronger than me. I think I would have just stayed there. I'm being so serious with you right now. But Spider-Man is not one to give up so easily and does escape. Kraven's reasoning for this? Over the years, Spider-Man has beaten Kraven and, in his words, humiliated him, and Kraven just just wants to finally prove he was better than Spidey. Kind of a last hurrah at the end of his villain career. I gotta say, I think one of the worst things that happened to Spider-Man was the first death most Spideys would have seen. While Spider-Man has gone through a lot in his many lifetimes, one thing that has remained consistent in traumatizing almost every web-slinger across the Spider arcs was the death of Uncle Ben. This has caused many versions of Spider-Man to become the masked hero in the first place, has led others to some pretty dark places, and once caused an emotional crisis for Spider-Man when he came face to face with the man responsible for the act. It's one of the main things that haunts Spider-Man throughout his entire career, and as the recent addition to Sony's Miles Morales Spider-Verse film suggests, that it is an inescapable part of any Spider-Man story. I hope you had as much fun watching as I did piecing this all together. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your mark on the comment section down below. Bye for now. This is Juliana signing off.